Hi, welcome to the very important middle module of Winning Websites. This one has some real meat on the rest of the potato. We're talking about the nav, that very important menu at the top of our website that has got to be clear and it's got to function well, or me, the user, and all your other visitors are going to bounce really quickly because, again, if you confuse, you lose. So we're going to talk about user experience, the user interface, and then the simple but real expectations of that hard-earned traffic that you're generating and bringing into your site with all of your other efforts on your email marketing and your blog and your social feeds and your paid ads. And then we're going to talk about what needs to be a seamless path from point A to point B or point F or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to travel through your website with. We've got to convert them, we've got to get them to take action, and they're only going to do it if it's a crystal clear journey. So let's dive in. This is something I want us to think about. On user experience and user interface, you hear them tossed around a lot, particularly in, developer circles or job postings and people that want to sound fancy. But it is not complicated. We are basically mastering, some kind of beautiful experience on your website that just makes sense and was easy to use and got me where I needed to go with a really nice interface that felt modern and crisp and clean and told me who you were. And that's what we like to say is website magic. Not an 89-page site or not a 3,000-page site with so many backdated articles and millions of photo galleries and tons of pop-ups and widgets and things that are just overwhelming or annoying. I'm going to bounce. I'm out. I don't have time for this, and someone else is going to serve me up my answers quicker. I'm going there. So UX meets UI, and what it does is it meets our browsing behavior, which is, for all of us, if you put on your browsing hat and take off your business owner hat, high maintenance, high expectations, and truly limited patience, unfortunately. It's who we are, our goldfish-sized attention spans, and our multitudes of choice have taken us to this place that we as business owners or marketers now have to meet. And the reality is that what we're looking for as users or searchers of websites and search engines is, for one thing, searchability. Can I find you? And that's up to you, by the way, but it's not too hard. Lightning fast load speed, kind of, because I'm not going to sit around here all day. Crystal clear navigation, a dead easy understanding of the offering. What do you do and do I understand it? A seamless journey, and then a really clear idea of what steps to take now. So where's that call to action? Where do I go from here? I'm kind of an idiot website dweller, and I need you to tell me what to do next. Because I'm not you. I don't own this company. I don't know how to get to checkout or if I'm supposed to engage or sign up for something or learn more or read more. Tell me what to do. And then finally, those functional technology pieces and integrations that inform, not annoy. So the user experience must-haves: offer clarity, mobile friendliness and load speed, intuitive use, and an obvious and satisfying journey. And then we're going to get into user interface must-haves in a minute. So beginning with the clear offering, and this just isn't the titles of your pages which show in your main navigation, it's an offering on the whole. In 3 seconds of being on your site, does your visitor know what you do, sell, make, or offer? And could they sum it up in 6 words as opposed to 4 paragraphs? What's in it for them, who you are, and what to do next? And yes, in that order. We want to have some idea of who this company is and do we trust them, even if it's just a friendly photo or it's a logo or maybe on that same homepage before I even scroll, aka above the fold, we're going to see that there is logos of companies you've worked with or media you've been featured in or a little statement about your company, a bio or something. But the top is all about me and my needs and you and what you do to serve my needs. So when do we see some homepage magic happening? 2 examples here, local business and not-for-profit, a clean, compelling, and curiosity creating page that actually builds on my curiosity and answers some of my questions along the way and really is about me, the user, and not you, the company. And so using words like you and your, understanding and listening to what your concerns or your people want to hear before you assume and tell them what they need to know. You only do that once you have gathered enough information off of them, and then you can immediately solve their problems and fill in the blanks. So, first question, what do you do, sell, make, or provide? What they're really saying is, why should I engage with this website? Is your offering clear to any and everyone? And again, that's not dumb it down. That's just straight up like speak like a human. Don't be a bot. Don't use jargon. Don't speak to your industry peers. Speak to me as if it's one-to-one. Speak boutique, not big box. And know your avatar and know your customer and their needs and their pain points so that you can speak to them really authentically, as opposed to spray and pray approach where we're hoping to capture everybody and speak really generically. It doesn't work. If you speak really authentically, you'll actually capture so many more hearts and minds of the complete opposite person that you didn't expect to find. Next, who is this for? We've got to know this. And what will they get? And a visitor to your site should be able to answer all of these questions. So now it's your turn. We're going to dive into some of these important workbook exercises. You can do them now, or you can come back to them at the end of the course. But I encourage you to fill some out as you go. Grab that workbook. So the 3-second test. Within moments of landing on your site, what does your visitor know? And then number 2, clearly defining that ideal customer and what you do think you know about them, what you need to know about them, so that your offer can be better defined and better positioned. So some questions for you on exercise 1. What I do, make, sell, or offer, which in their words would be what? And maybe you need to ask a stranger or your neighbor or your grandma, hey grandma, when you read my website, what do you think I sell? But even better if they're a stranger. What's in it for them? Oh, well, I see I'm going to get some discount glasses here and I can try them on in advance. And what a neat online optics company. Who we are. So my visitor would describe us as this or me as that. But who we really are. Now that is a cool question. And this is when we're connecting with people emotionally or on a deeper level. It's what my editor used to say in the newsroom all the time. Sure, Kelly, that sounds like an interesting story, but tell me more. Well, they've got this going on. Yeah, I still don't care. Tell me more. And if I couldn't tell him more, I couldn't really describe it as a unique story angle that our readers were going to love. And it's the same when people are trying to get to know you and decide whether they trust you and like you and know you enough to want to buy from you. Because remember, lots of choice. And then finally, what to do next. So if they were able to see us a little deeper, that shouldn't be repeated in there. What to do next? Where to go? What is it that I do from here? What step is next? I'll fix that for you in your actual workbook. And then exercise number 2, my prospect and offer clearly defined. So my ideal customer avatar, the ICA for my offer is, you've got 20 questions here. I'm not going to read them all, but essentially we're talking about what is the result that they will experience and how fast and what is their reason for wanting to experience this transformation. We're getting into desires and pain points, and then even some objectives, like what does their life or business currently feel like? And maybe it's actually good. It's not an objective at all, objection. It's something that's a perfect entry point for you because the chaos has to end and they need your business organization services because of why. What they really want their life to feel like. Imagine if. How can you start to paint a picture or at least know what their picture of success or relief or joy or gratitude is? So there's what they want physically, but also what they want emotionally. We all have these deeper level, we call them iceberg emotions, which are fantastic motivators for our purchasing decisions. And thus, for us as business owners, marketers, communicators, to connect with them on that level somehow, maybe in a more indirect way. Why did you decide to create this offer? What is it that makes it different from what's currently out there? And if you don't know the answer to that, you need to go back to step 1. Why are you different? Why should I care? And why, do I choose you in the end? Are there any bonuses or surprises or, revelations that people have when they work with you or that your prospect or customer might learn along the way? Amazing. How do we work that in or celebrate that? And it could just be your level of customer service or your timeliness of delivery. Or maybe it's just that your quality is exceeding anything else out there. The kind of support included in your offer, perhaps. Any refund policies, payment plans, are all these things clear? Because trust me, you're going to need them in your sales copy or in your Q&A or FAQs or your social content. And you're going to want to celebrate those things as key messages that we have to tell people. We can't just assume they know. And then any objections that they may have. And this is really important. Not so you can go in like the politician and remove those objectives really aggressively, but just be aware of them and speak to them in the way that you know will help, or that will turn the tide, or that will make them know that you know them. That's the biggest thing. Understand them, as they say in sales. Stand shoulder to shoulder with your prospect, and then listen more, and then show them that you've got exactly what it is they're looking for, and that you and only you are that solution. All right, user experience. Let's talk about the user interface, a little more tactical now. So what we're expecting as users of websites today, and as online shoppers or browsers or purchasers, dwellers, is modern design, easy navigation, and smart integrations. So let's start with easy navigation. A few golden rules of that nav and your ways through it. Let's talk about the main nav. So we'll call it the primary navigation, and all the page titles that show up there, if you allow them to do so, which you probably should, unless you have a dark page living over somewhere that's a landing page. So do they make sense? Or are they just kitschy words that make sense to you because you wanted everything to rhyme or start with a W? It doesn't work. Not only do we as users need to know where your about page is, your products page, your checkout page, and maybe your news or blog page, and your contact page, but so too does Google. And this is how Google indexes sites. When someone is looking for something, Google is going to be indexing sites and looking for those exact keywords. So if someone says about social school in their Google search query, Google's index is looking for that exact page called about, and then on the site social school. And so if I don't name my page accordingly, I won't get the right domain extension, socialschool.io/about, and I won't show up in search for that term. I could call it something weird, and maybe it's kitschy and it might have some benefits, but on the whole, play it safe if you can. Second, are you using a drop-down secondary, or even worse, a tertiary navigation that my big fat thumbs on a mobile device or a tablet cannot work, and that my brutal eyes can't see, and that I can't get around with because I have to wait for that drop down. Oh, it's gone again. So how can we make it so that we're using as few drop downs as possible? They're not the total end of the world. There's some very big, massive monster media sites or, online influencer sites that have drop down menus. And if you need them, great, but just be aware of how they appear and whether they're functional, especially on mobile. Number 3, are all of your site's pages, where possible, properly linked to from that main navigation? So forget what I said about these dark pages over here that are landing pages only. And are they connected like water pipes? This is what Google prefers, if you can. An SEO expert who's legit SEO expert will tell you, yes, you want them to be connected like pipes that go one off the other so that Google knows that they're all legit. And you're not trying to hide some dark published pages over here that aren't connected to the main nav, that have, a bunch of keywords jammed into them for SEO value, but actually have no sensical value to them at all for a real human. You want to be a little bit careful if you have things that are connected to your URL that aren't connected to your main navigation, and thus your overall site map or site index. Number 4, are your calls to action on each page clear and concise, and are they leading me down the garden path to my goal and yours? And if you aren't sure, sometimes it's a good idea to A/B test your calls to action, your buttons on your website. Use different language. Maybe try something for a month and something else for a month, or 2 competing versions of a similar page, one for this product, one for that product. Experiment with the timeliness of your language in your calls to action, the urgency and the scarcity. All very powerful tools at getting people to act, as opposed to loosey-goosey language of learn more, read more, which most of us are classic for using because we don't want to be too pushy. But there's color science behind this. There's language science. There's a reason that certain people get the sale over others. So really thinking about it as again, providing solutions, information, and instructions to your website visitors, as opposed to being pushy and salesy. Just show me where to go is what they're thinking. So next exercises, I want you to outline your site's main navigation and the intended goal for each of those primary pages. And if that makes your head spin, you probably have too many pages, or you've lost track and don't have a handle anymore on your map. And if someone handed you a map of their house and said, here's the kitchen directions to the back bathroom, you'd be able to read it and understand it and follow it. But most of us can't do that with our primary marketing tool, which is our website, to go, the home page, and then these 4 other pages are my primary pages, and then these are my secondary. I have 10, and then off of that spins another 15. It's a 25-page website, 30, and that's that. I totally added that up wrong. Either way, if you can, sit down and think about what your navigation has currently and then what pages stem off of it and draw that little map. If you were to do this in Google Search Console, which we talk about in our SEO courses, you would actually export that simplified, cleaned up site index of 20 pages, and you would upload it into Google Search Console as a favor. You say, here, Google, I'm giving you this without you having to go search it yourself and build your own site index or map with your web crawlers of my website. I want to give you a head start. Here's my clean index. Here's the pages to pay attention to, and watch how your search ranking changes as well as your search result. Suddenly you have the 5 pages that you want to show up in your search result in that extended snippet below your website name or your company name. And you've had a really clear understanding of what pages are showing up how they should and which ones you need to rework the little page description, which pages you don't want Google to crawl, like a thank you page or maybe a checkout page or something like that. Anyway, lots of opportunity in Google Search Console and with our page index. But before we go tell it what it is in digital form, we need to know on paper form. So pen to paper this one, write out what each page of your main nav is and its purpose. And then what is the goal or the call to action that you would like to have or that should be or is featured on that page. The next exercise there is to wireframe them. Ta-da, if you can. This is, again, what we do heavily in our Website Launch Lab courses before we let anybody start moving pixels around. There is no worse recipe for overwhelm and disastrous websites than not drawing it out literally on paper beforehand. I have so many books full of wireframed websites and landing pages, and I love it because literally you're just building these puzzles of like the image block and then text block and then a few thumbnail images. Well, let's look at it as an example here. A couple of calls to action, maybe some testimonials, some logos or icons. There's my footer column and ta-da, there is my website. If you were to Google website wireframe, you will see so many examples of these pencil drawings or digital drawings of page elements that are on top of each other. Again, they're like building blocks. And once you can start to name them, not only will you be able to frame and build better website pages of your own that function really well and don't have unnecessary elements that have to load every time someone loads your page and slows it down, but also you'll be able to speak the language of what each block is. Oh yeah, that's my hero image and my headline is in it as an overlaid white text. Oh yeah, there's section 2. It's my mini about page intro, company intro statement with 3 thumbnail entry points for my flooring company. And this is residential, this is commercial, and this is renovation. And actually those happen to also be my content pillars on my social feeds, if you've noticed. And then, again, the testimonial section and the brag bar, if you want to call it, or logos or icons. You get the idea. We cover so many more options in our Website Launch Lab, but if you can, start to look at the sites that you follow and love. Go to a simple e-commerce site, go to a simple news site or a big company or a Nike if you want, and just try to take note and see what types of elements they're using to build out their homepages and their about pages, and you'll see they're probably simpler than you think. So we're working backwards. We're not overbuilding any of our pages or over-assetting ourselves with 7,000 images and pieces of written copy. Less is more. So the exercise here would be, if you want, for each of those 5 main pages, or maybe you have 8, that's okay, or 3, can you draw them out? Can you actually say, okay, here's page 1, title is home, and the slug is /home. That's the same as a domain extension. And this is what it has on it. This is the key things, and here's my call to action, and here's what I need people to take. And actually, they can go 3 places from here. They can hit the About page through that thumbnail, they can hit the Products page through that thumbnail, or they can bounce over to Contact. whatever it is. Hopefully you get the idea. We need to really understand the value of each of our pages, leverage them to the max, only say the things that need to be said on each page, and leave people wanting more to either buy from you or read your blog or pick up the phone and book an appointment with you, and just having a really seamless user experience along with our interface. I will see you in Module 5 for Site Assets, where we'll get more detailed on the beautiful art and copy that makes up each page.